Hello, this is Christian Fint for ABP Tech Canada and ABP Tech International. Welcome to the user training video for the Kentix SmartAccess system. Kentix has published the Smart Relays not long ago, and it is time that we'll give you some guidance as an end user on how to use this system. So you see me logged in here in the traditional dashboard overview. Now this is a new system, nothing has been added. And on the left hand side you'll see the Kentix firmware version 7.1.2. That was the firmware when this video was recorded. If there's a newer one, please feel free to ask your integrator to upgrade you to the newer system. As I said, on the left hand side you have the upper three menu items are the most important for end users: the dashboard, the account manager, and the access manager. The other menu items, devices, smart connect, configuration, and system, should only be accessed by your integrator. Now feel free to look into them, but please don't change anything. It could render your system, at least at the worst case scenario, in need of being resetted, and that costs time and money. So the first question you should ask yourself are the access management settings. So here you can basically decide what to do with the user data. You can delete the user data after a certain amount of time, depends on your privacy settings and potentially laws in the area you're operating. We can have external access evaluation. Now this is not part of that training here. But more importantly, down here, you might want to set a different length of the pin code. Most standard systems these days have 4, but 5 and 6 are offering more combinations and are therefore more secure. And of course, you can activate the RFID encryption if you'd like to Kentix, or custom encryption. So after setting these initial variables, the next decision you have to make are the time profiles. Time profiles are working exactly as the name suggests. You have to think about the time span when you would like to allow certain groups of people or users into your building. So as a default, we'll see the weekend, workdays, and always. Now always is quite boring, so I'll show you the weekend. So on the right hand side here you have those icons. The first one is to duplicate this time profile. Then you can edit it and of course deleting it. So in this case I'm only editing it, and as you can see here, basically the weekend starts of course at midnight on Saturday and ends at midnight on Sunday. So this is the time over the weekend where potential users would be allowed into the building. Now you can very simple add or remove times, like just marking it. You hold the left mouse button and drag it over, and then whatever gets green is added. Now in this case, from Tuesday to Friday. Additionally, people could get into the building from 11 o'clock to 12 or noon. So it doesn't make sense, so I'm deleting it again, but just so you've seen how to set up the time profiles. Workdays, it looks very simple. It's the vice versa from the weekend, but also the access is only granted during work hours from 7 a.m. to basically 7 p.m. Yes, that is a 24-hour schedule. Well, it's a German product and the German's ticking on 24 hours, so I'll hope you accept that as a given. We can't change it at the moment. Now, why is that time profile important? Well, the next thing you see is the access profile. And the access profile is a combination of the door locks, or the doors you would allow to open, and the time profiles. So I'll show you the always here. So the always profile, as is the access profile, has, well, there's only one main door here, but if there would be more, I could add more doors here. It's the main door, it's always, and that is the name default. I could also rename it, and personally I like to name it always and everywhere. Now the name suggests the program behind it or the idea behind it. Very useful to assign this profile to administrative users or board members if it's a condo building, for example. Now, we could also create other access profiles based on user groups, for example. So let's take a condo building again. We have realtors. So realtors, for example, should be entering or able to enter the building too, but maybe only during the work days. Now I know that doesn't make sense because realtors work over the weekend too, but we could create a realtor time profile. So we select the main door. Again, we only have one door here, but if there would be more doors, you could select all the doors you want the realtors allowed to open. Then you click Save in the upper right corner, and the new access profile, Realtors, has been created. Now, how could I switch the time profile to make it better, easier for realtors to work? So let's say the work days here, getting more specific. It's not really a company, it's a condo building. So we want the realtors to come in or be able to come in even, let's say, until 9 p.m. So now we created the 7 a.m. until 9 p.m. and after that we don't want the realtors in the building anymore. So we basically restrict the access from that time frame or from that time profile. And then, of course, we should also, and I forgot that, rename the profile, and that is the realtors profile. So that is the realtors time profile, and we have a realtors access profile. Now we just have to link them together. So again, I'll go and edit the realtor setting. And now I'm switching it to the realtors time profile. Well, it did that automatically because I used the work days and work hours before. We just changed the name, so it changed the name right here in the menu. And then I click Save. So now we have two profiles, always and everywhere. Now we could also say, what about the tenants? Yes, so let's do a tenants profile. And of course, the tenants are allowed always into the building, but probably not everywhere. So there could be a utility room. You don't want the regular tenant to be able to walk in there. So you might not give them all the door locks. Again, here in this example, I only have one door lock. I should have programmed two. Apologize for that. But again, if you have multiple and regular tenants should not enter certain areas, then you leave them out of here. And then you click Save, and then we have 3 access profiles. Once the access profiles have been defined, we can now start looking at the users. Now the LDAP or Microsoft Access, sorry, not Microsoft Access, Active Directory connection should be done by your integrator. So if you have a Microsoft server with Active Directory, you can import the users through it. But I won't mention it here because most other user groups won't have this and probably don't need it. And even if you have it, then it's really just a click to import it. Now, user groups are exactly what the name suggests. You can have managers or viewers or tenants or however you would like to call them. Basically, you can give them permissions, what they are allowed to do and what not to do. In this particular case here, the manager, we could basically restrict them. Again, it is up to you how you would like to control the rate system of your users. The users is the key to everything, of course. We are managing users, so you see right now we have an administrator with a permission administrator, and we have me as a regular viewer. Now, how to create a user? You just basically click here on the plus key or icon and say add user, and then you give me username. Let's call him Steve, and he doesn't need a password, or Steve doesn't need a password, because he won't log into the system himself. He's just a placeholder, so you know that this record in the system is for Steve. If you have a condo building, you could put theoretically the unit number of Steve behind it. I highly recommend that one entry per RFID token or PIN code. This way you can always easily control and delete, especially key fobs which got lost, or if somebody moves out, then you simply only need to deactivate this user so that he or she cannot access via PIN or RFID token. After this, you have to select if Steve is a board member. He probably gets administrator rights. If not, then we select the user groups, in this case the viewer. Then the access profile, we choose the tenants. And then we can even restrict them from a start and end date to, well, yeah, with a start and end date, sorry. And there is a check mark here to receive notifications. That should only be used really for the managers or the integrators even, if there's something wrong with the system. Or if it is important that you get a notification if somebody enters, then yes, please, by all means, switch that on for yourself. Now, in general, Steve needs a full name, so Steve, let's call him Garner. Steve can have an email address, doesn't need one. And here's the PIN code. So I'll take the simple one, 1234. Now I can look at the PIN code by clicking this icon right behind that field. Emergency access. The assigned token can unlock a door lock even if it is no connection to that access manager. So this is really for building managers, firefighters, policemen. If these groups get a key fob for your building, then by all means activate this. This is a user activation, right? So his key fob will open even if it's not in the access profile. If an alarm system is connected, we can allow to disarm it only or alarm and arm and disarm it. This one here is the transponder key. So here the key fob will be teached into the system. And you do this by basically clicking here on that icon. Once you do that, you have to select the door. I mean, we only have one, so this is pretty simple. And then we click on Read RFID Token. So I click on that, and then I'll hover with the token over the system. So, sorry, it was a little bit far away from here. So now you see the transponder ID has been added. Now, if I lose that key fob, all you need to do is select it, delete it, and you'd be done. Now, in this case, of course, we'll do it again. So we'll select, read it in, go to the reader, and we have the transponder. Nothing else needs to be entered. There is a description field which you may want to use to add certain information, but that's basically the whole shebang in regards to the user. So then we click Save. Okay, not all settings are... Oh, the pin has already been taken. Okay, my apologies. In this case, we'll use 9876, and then we'll save it. Oh, I used even the transponder code twice, so let's just say this Steve doesn't get a transponder, he's only using a PIN code. Okay, this has been taken, so let's try 4 times 1. Maybe that has been taken. Okay, so now we're good. 4 times 1 is Steve. So now if I go back to the dashboard, you see that the programming of the token is listed here and that the administrator opened the door once. Now if I go to the keypad and enter 4 times 1, and I redraw the list, which I can do with this icon up here in the upper right corner, refresh. And now you see that Steve was granted access. Now, let's quickly look into a real-life example of this. Oh, before we switch, I forgot about that. Up here in the header, next to the access logbook, you also have the door lock. So if you click here, all the doors will be listed, and you can open them manually by simply clicking on that key symbol. Door lock is open. If you click on that gear wheel, then you'll get to the settings of this door lock, but this again is more for the integrators, not for the end users, because it brings you down to devices. If you want to get back to the dashboard, you basically just click here on the access logbook, and then you're back to the dashboard. So now let's look at a real-life example. So I'm logging into a real-life installation here. Now, of course, for privacy issues, I had to make all the names not readable. But a couple of things I'd like to show you here, which is different to the just single copy. First of all, if I go to door lock control, you'll see that this one has 5 doors. It is a condo building. So we have a boiler room, main entrance, parkade, parkade man door, and south entrance. Now we also have, in the background at least, multiple smart relays. You see those if you click on devices, and then you'll see that we have here, and I'm just sorting them, we have here the access managers, access number 1, 3, and 2, or twice 2. One smart relay can control up to 2 doors, in this case 5 doors, so this installation has 1 additional door available for expansions. Now, a couple of things. First of all, I go back to the dashboard. Now, you might be wondering what these camera icons on the right side are. So you can connect and link a camera which is installed, an IP, digital IP camera, it must be a smart camera, with the system. And now, without the need to switch to the video management system of the security cameras, I can click on these icons here, and I'll get an image. Actually, I get 10 still shots from the camera stored in the Kentix dashboard or access log file, which shows me who entered, or at least if a failed attempt was a bad thing, or a break-and-entry attempt, or not. And if this is a bad thing, for the lack of better terminology, then you can go to the video management system of the cameras and get a much better picture, high resolution. This is low resolution here. This is just to give you a quick, brief overview what happened, and you can check on that. So that's number 1. Number 2, you'll see there here in the middle between Kentix 1 and the clock, there is a little network symbol. This network symbol turns blue once you've added new users or made any other changes. Because once you've made those changes, you have to click on that little symbol, and that initiates the synchronization between all the meshed smart relays or access managers so that all of them have the same data. Now, let's quickly look at the real-life example here. So first, let's look at the time profiles. So here are 2 time profiles. We have always and realtors. Now let's see what time realtors are allowed to enter the building. See, that's 9:15 to basically 9 p.m. So 9:15 in the morning until 9 p.m. So that's where this building allows realtors into the building. From the access manager's perspective, we have multiple different access profiles, always and everywhere, of course, for the people who are allowed to go at any time, anywhere they would like. We have family and friends, We have realtors, residents, and service contractors. Now, I don't go into always and everywhere. I mean, the name suggests what it does, but let's see family and friends here. So if I go to family and friends, you see that they are only allowed to enter through the main entrance. If I go to the residents here, the residents are allowed to come into 4 different buildings. There is a 5th door, remember, the boiler room, but a regular resident must not necessarily be allowed in there. So the board members in this case most likely have that access. And then again, let's look quickly at the users, not at the names. And again, I apologize, but I had to, for privacy reasons, make them unreadable. But you see here we have a couple of administrators on the first page. So from that perspective here, quick overview, who has access to what, and the same icons on the right-hand side. Going back to the dashboard, and that's basically it. I hope I could help you learning to understand how the system works, how to add users, what are the time profiles, what are the access profiles for. The access profiles, in my opinion, are a really smart way of combining the time and the doors, and then it's really easy for every single user to give them one entry. And if they need 2 key fobs, then hey, give them 2 entries, right? Christian 1 and Christian 2, for example. But that's just my recommendation. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, please come back to your integrator or leave comments below, and we will answer them as soon as we can. Thank you and have a great day.